Morning all. How are we doing? Happy Monday. How is everybody? Morning Ian, Christian, Steve, Peter, Evil, Martin, Baggy, Yoko, Amy, JC, Gregors, Kennelly. It's time. Evans, Rico, Franco, Virginia. God, busy this morning. Sorry about Friday. If you were trying to come into the live room on Friday, had a little bit of a technical glitch. My streaming software did an update and Windows did an update, and obviously nothing works. So fingers crossed this morning. Everything seems to be fine. I had to reset my stream up because it decided to change some settings and do stuff, but it seems to be working. So fingers crossed. Anyway, yeah. So opening range breaks this morning. FTSE's gone long. So is the DAX. So we'll see how those pan out. Why have I got a stop loss in place? Weird. Well, that was. Morning, Derp. So, yeah. So hopefully it'll all work fine this morning. It seems fine. Levels seem okay. Everything seems to be working. Anyway, so we'll see what happens. Right. So this morning we're going to do a recap. So the live rooms this week, we have today, got two today, this morning and this afternoon. Basically, just going to trade the open this afternoon and obviously do an overview, which I'm doing this morning as well. Tomorrow, we've got PMIs. So 2:45, going to do an afternoon stream tomorrow. Wednesday, a morning and an afternoon. Thursday, an afternoon. And Friday, an afternoon. So the news is very heavily weighted towards end of day for us in the UK because most of it is US based this week. But we've got Euro. We've got loads of interest rates. So I'll go through all that in a second. And we'll have a look at all the news. Bear with me if you can hear a load of noise in the background. I've just got a system parameter permutation test running, which is nearly finished, which has been going for 16 hours. So that'll be finished running in a minute. And as soon as that's finished running, hopefully my computer will stop whining. Fans are going absolutely mental. Anyway, right. So just quick. I've just done a little bit of drawdown control. Well, not drawdown control, aggressive drawdown control this morning on the pound yen. I put an aggressive drawdown control position on Friday morning, which hasn't panned out. It started looking like it was going to work on Friday, but all we did Friday was basically go up and down. So that's just closed out this morning with a little bit of loss. Good way to start the month, isn't it? Little bit of loss. So yeah, that's pretty much all that's happened there. So H1M5 mean reversion sitting at about 10% of drawdown. It's yen again. It's the pound yen, the US yen. We're just waiting for the yen. She said, "Yeah, let's go." No, actually, let's not. Usual stuff. The yen's driving me up the wall. Absolutely nuts at the moment. ADR reversals banked 1% on Friday, a little bit of loss this morning. Actually, that Euro Swiss is not really loss. I did try and do an aggressive drawdown control position on the Euro Swiss on Friday because we had a 150 ADR move. I didn't manage to really get it, unfortunately. So I closed those out this morning with a micro loss, basically. Just because I was worried about it pushing, because it's an aggressive drawdown control position and it was quite big. I wanted to keep it very, very tight. So as you can see this morning, we probably can't see, but basically what the market decided to do this morning was stop me out on the aggressive drawdown control positions that I had on, and then immediately push down. So yeah. So that's that one. So obviously the month just started. So main problem with the ADR reversals at the moment is the Swiss franc. So I got two positions on the Swiss franc there, which are over 3% drawdown, which hopefully, looking at the move we've just had, that reversal this morning, very big sharp move down. We'll have a look at that in a minute. That will start to kick in today. Hedging closed 4% on Friday, 0.7 bank this morning, up 5% pretty much on the month already. So yeah, going very well. some stuff I can bank there as well. Look, Swiss yen. Let's get that in the bank. Euro yen. Just going to bank that because it's nice and easy. Quick money, in and out, done. I'll leave everything else running at the moment. Got nice profit on US yen as well. I'm assuming this yen is actually going to bother to drop. What's that? 70. It's 0.5%. Let's just take that as well. Close out the yen. So I don't really want to have longs, but this is a hedging account, so it doesn't really matter which direction it goes. Anyway, so yeah, another couple of percent bank there this morning. Let's see if this test is done. Still running, nearly done. Right, so we'll start off with the news and have a look through the news and what's going on this week. Morning, Udi. Don't know how to say your name. So this week we've got a lot of news, an awful lot of news, and high impact as well. Oh, God. Indices have rejected the long move at the moment. A lot of volume coming in this morning. A lot of volatility. So this week we have had, first of all, this morning, the CPI for the Swiss franc. So that's why we had that big move from the Swissy. So if we look at the Euro Swiss, there was a big move down this morning on the Euro Swiss news, which has basically come out at 0.6. This is only the month-on-month figure, not the most important, but 0.6% on a forecast of 0.5. So it's ever so slightly better than expected, but it is, as I say, just a month-on-month figure. So what that means for the Swiss is that there's less need for them to put their interest rates down because inflation is looking like it's potentially starting to bounce. So the Swissy is a little bit of a tricky one to forecast at the moment because the interest rates are at 1.75, which is very low. Their inflation is already below target. So it doesn't really matter if inflation does bounce a little bit. They're still going to be below 2%, which is deemed as a healthy level for inflation. So the Swiss, I don't think you can read an awful lot into CPI figures for because they're kind of at target. There is actually no reason for them to be up here. They could be lower on interest rates, but they're, the more attractive they make themselves, the better. So we might see this move continue this morning. So this is basically Swiss franc strength because obviously the inflation figure is higher than expected. So the market will want to put more money into the Swissy. So you should see everything start to come down against the Swiss franc. So pound Swiss starting to move down. Swiss will be coming down as well. So we'll see what happens. I'm not convinced really that this is necessarily going to be a very strong move though, because as I say, the interest rates are only at 1.75% and inflation is below target. So we'll see. But that's what we've had this morning. We've got Tokyo CPI this evening, but as you can see, there's no other news today. So that's it for today's news, for forecast news anyway. Over the weekend, let's have a quick look and see if there's anything exciting happening over the weekend. What's Japan been saying? Nothing. No. So nothing much over the weekend to write home about either. Nothing from Japan off the back of the move on the yen. Okay, market's trying to rally back up again. DAX is dead at the moment. Really good moves on Friday, but nothing much this morning again. Excuse me. Morning, day trader. Morning, Gina. So basically no news over the weekend. So this week we've got big days coming up. So overnight tonight we've got the Japanese yen. So it's the CPI for Japan, which I'm hoping will be a tick up. Basically, they're forecasting a 1.6 to move to a 2.5. Hopefully we achieve that 2.5, but anything that's close to that is still going to be more than previous number. So anything we can do to push the Japanese towards increasing those interest rates up to 0 would be fantastic. So at the moment, obviously, Japan is negative interest rates. They're the only country that is, and they have been for 7 years. They're talking about moving this interest rate back up to 0 to become flat. Their inflation is good. So they can do this without any real fear. It's just that they haven't, and they keep saying that they're going to do it. So I'm hoping that what we're going to find today, this evening, is that the CPI figure comes up to somewhere around about that target. And then Ueda is going to be speaking and hopefully laying out some forward guidance, which is going to give us some indication as to when they're going to do that interest rate rise. And the sooner the better. Everything will come down against the Japanese yen. So if you've got any positions on the Japanese yen that are long, i.e. XXX long yen, meaning that you are weak on the yen, selling the yen, you want to be potentially protecting those or getting out of them. US dollar PMIs are tomorrow afternoon, so we'll be on and streaming for that. Obviously, the PMI figure's important as they are an inflationary figure. So that's tomorrow afternoon. Then going into Wednesday, we have the GDP for the Aussie overnight. We've got pound construction PMIs, which don't do a lot. Non-farm employment change on Wednesday, and then the big one on Wednesday is the Canadian rate. So this is the first interest rate change this week. Obviously, very big news because everything is revolving around interest rates at the moment. So this is the key for this week. The current Canadian interest rate is at 5, obviously hasn't changed, same as everybody else. Nobody's interest rates are changing. Their inflation is dropping very good at the moment, very fast. They're not far away from target. They're only 0.9% away from target, or however, that's probably going to bounce. So we'd be shocked. The whole market would be shocked if that changes. Nobody is going to change their interest rates until the US, unless there is something really drastic, excluding yen and Swiss potentially. But all the other main currencies are not going to change their interest rates until that US dollar does. So the CAD's not going to drop first. It's no reason for it to rise either, because inflation is below the US. It's on its way to target. It's coming down very quick. Fantastic. We want to get to 2%. They're on their way. So there's absolutely no reason for them to change absolutely anything at all. So wouldn't expect to see that happening. But obviously we will get some volatility coming in on that, and we may well get a move started off the CAD. So depends what's in the statement. If the statement is bullish, i.e. we are definitely not going to increase our interest rates until June, then we'll probably see a little bit of strength coming into the Canadian dollar. If it's wishy-washy, we might see some weakness. We'll have to wait and see. So that's coming out there. We got the Ivy PMIs at 3 o'clock. And then we've got Powell talking at 3 as well, along with Jolts. And then we've got the press conference for the Bank of Canada. So the all the statement news there, what you tend to get when the interest rate in the statement is released is, it depending if it's, I mean, if it's obviously a different news, it's not what we expect, you get a massive move in one direction or the other. What you tend to find the vast majority of the time is we get something like that, or we move up and we sit around, or we move down and we sit around for the first half an hour because we're waiting for that press conference. So this is when the Bank of Canada will open up to questions, and everybody will be questioning them about what happened there. So that's when we tend to get the move. So the move on the Canadian dollar will probably start around about 3:45, 4 o'clock. So that's Wednesday. Big day Wednesday. Tons and tons and tons of news, virtually all day. Thursday, then we've got the reserves for the Swissy. Again, if they're good, more strength on the Swiss, but we'll wait and see. 115 is the main one, which is the monetary policy statement and the rate for the euro. Again, euro sitting at 4.5. Not going to change that this time round. Inflation is coming down towards target of 2%. Not quite as fast as they want it to. Hence them saying we're probably going to push it back until June when the US move theirs. There is a possibility, if the next CPI figures come out as dramatically lower than forecast, the euro could go ahead of the US, but very unlikely. So again, we are expecting everything just to go sideways for 6 months because we're waiting for that June number for the US. So So that's coming out on Thursday. Again, we'll probably get a whipsaw off the back of that. The ECB press conference is at 1:45, so that's when Lagarde will lay out future forward guidance. We'll be looking for any sort of clue as to whether or not they might move first or not. If there is any clues there or in the monetary policy statement that is going to come down to 4.25 before the US, you can kiss the euro goodbye. Wait and see. If that was to move down to 4.25, obviously you can kiss the euro goodbye anyway. But it's not going to happen. He says that, touch wood, but highly unlikely. Unemployment claims are sandwiched in between those two on Thursday. And then we've got Powell testifying again. Where's Powell? What's he up to? He's talking twice. Monetary policy report. Semi-annual monetary policy report before the Senate Banking Committee. So he's doing a 2-day testimony. Doesn't normally testify twice. Why is he doing it twice? That might be an error. March the 7th. Where are we? 4th, 5th, 6th. So he's testifying there. Oh, he is, twice. Not quite sure why he's doing it twice, but he is. Anyway, so that's Thursday. Very, 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 very busy again on Thursday. Then we go to Friday. It's non-farm payroll. So unemployment rate for the US. So the unemployment rate is one of the key leading indicators which we focus on. So at the moment, we're sitting at 3.7. Unemployment didn't change last time round. This is a lot less important now than it has been in the lead up to these interest rate rises that we've had. But basically now, if that goes up or that goes down, it's really not going to affect this. They're not looking at controlling unemployment with interest rates, which is how they tend to interact together anymore, because it's just all about dropping that and when we can drop it. Again, if unemployment goes up, the US dollar will drop. If unemployment comes down, the US dollar will rally. But I wouldn't necessarily expect a massive move off of it. We'll get a big whipsaw, we always do, where the banks kill everybody. But yeah, basically that's it. So that's on Friday, obviously, and it's the Canadian unemployment rate as well. So again, same thing goes for them. So they're forecast not to move and forecast to go up by 0.1%. So we could have a big day on Friday as well. So it's going to be a massive week this week. Back end, tail end of this week, we've got interest rate followed by unemployment. Huge. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, big news. I forgot to hit this button. Hit yours. Go and smack the thumb. Hit the like. Right. That's a really bad accent. So yeah, there you go. There's the news. So that's the overview for this week. Very, 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 very big week we got coming up this week. And obviously there's a lot of potential change going to be happening over the next sort of 3 to 6 months. But although we are having a big week of news, it's unlikely that we're going to start any massive long-term moves in any direction. So let's just quickly catch up on the indices. Hedged on both. So going for 3R to the upside on the FTSE. So if we rally, I'll be looking to get out at Friday's high, which is last week's sort of main resistance area as well. Downside, Friday's low. So just looking for a reaction at the previous day's high or low on the FTSE. And that's not far away from ADR to the downside either. So FTSE down. DAX. Upside, I'm going to leave at 3R. Downside, I'm going to move up ever so slightly, just inside of yesterday's low or Friday's low, because if the limit orders are going to trigger at this area, obviously I want to make sure I get out with them. There's no point having a target down there when there's likely to be limit orders triggering the market back up there. So we'll see how I get on those this afternoon, or rather throughout the morning, but not a lot of movement at the minute. Again, just nothing. This is the most, I keep saying it, it's the most frustrating I think 3, 4, 5 months of trading I've ever had. It's just not moving anywhere, this market. There's no oomph. Just it's not doing anything, is it? But as I said last week on Thursday, it's nice to know that I'm not the only person being killed out there. One of my old mentors got in touch with me last week on Wednesday or Thursday, and just said, "Hey, finding it?" Because he's finding it hideous, which is great. It's not great, obviously. He's finding it hideous, but it's great that I'm not the only person that's sitting there going, "How do you make money when something goes sideways?" You can't. Anyway, morning, Yusuf. So let's have a look at the FX markets. Just quickly check, see if this is finished yet. 28.71, 28.80. How long have we got? 3 minutes left on that. I always worry about my computer. My PC has got loads of lights in it because it's a gaming PC, yeah? So the RAM's got lights in it. The fans have got lights, obviously. Everything's got lights in it. When it's working really, really hard, all the lights go off on the box because I think it's overheating slightly. And it's always when I'm running back tests, it starts to go, I'm not sure whether it wants to continue live. So we'll see. But I'm hoping that back test will be over in a couple of minutes. Right, so H1M5. So let's look at, so far today, ADRs. Start there because there is only one to look at, which is the Swissy. That's coming down nicely. So Swiss yen is your only ADR hit today, 125 ADR. So we've had a little bit of weakness so far on the yen this morning. All the yen pairs started a weak move this morning. So obviously everything was up in the CAD. I was going to say that's what it had. So yeah, CAD's pushed up a little bit as well. Obviously euro. So the Swiss yen is the one that's hit ADR today because obviously we had a little bit of weakness this morning on the yen, and then we just had that Swiss franc number come in, which has obviously rallied the market up. So 125 ADR, so you can drop down M5, wait for a reversal to happen, which has probably already happened. Not quite, actually. So your 5-minute reversal, again, too far away today. The new EA would have taken a trade here. But yeah, so no break in structure as such yet, but obviously the market is starting to roll over. So we'll see if that one continues. But this is basically potentially Swiss franc strength this morning off the back of those numbers. So we might see a continuation in this one. However, the yen is obviously starting to rally. As you can see, so there's a little bit of strength coming into the yen now. So if that yen strength continues and that Swiss strength continues at the same time, all you're going to get is these two fighting against each other, and it's not going to go anywhere because a strong currency against a strong currency equals a range. So we're not going anywhere at the moment, but that is your only ADR today. Obviously, there's nothing on the weeklies because it's Monday, and there's nothing on the monthlies because it's pretty much the first week of the month. So there's nothing else to look at on ADRs at the moment. Drawdown's fine on that at the minute, apart from these Swissies. So hopefully this Swiss continues today. It looks like it's wanting to continue the move so far. So I'm looking for this Swiss to get into profit. Again, paying an absolute fortune. Look at this. I'm at average price. Yeah, I'm still 1.5% in drawdown on it because the swaps are absolutely killing me at the minute. But anyway. US dollar Swiss, I think I might close that one out. Just to reduce a bit of Swiss. .75%. Fine with the idea of doing a bit of DD control on the pound as well. Bank 200. Can't really do. I haven't really got enough profit to do any DD control on that yet. So I'm just thinking. Pound Swiss, I'm just going to close out that top position. And Euro Swiss, sorry. And pound Swiss, I'm just going to do some DD control on the pound Swiss. If I banked 1,200, take half of that off that one. I'm just going to close that one out completely. Okay, so 1.7 banked. I'm just reducing the drawdown on the pound Swiss to get that down. Euro Swiss, I could probably do with a little bit off of that as well, but I'm going to leave that going for the minute. So just doing a bit of drawdown control, just to keep that a little bit under control, because these Swissies are just not going anywhere at the minute. Right, so those are ADRs all done. RSIs so far today, nothing. We're flat at the moment. So there's nothing on the hourlies and there's nothing on the 4 hourlies. So a lot of the moves that we had, which were extended last week, have all kind of started to move. So let me just catch up on chat. I just banged 2% for March with H1M5. Good job. On MT4, the support resistance propulsion targets to draw the gaps on the 5-minute chart. But when I change to 1 hour, no gaps are shown except on the DAX. Also, the timer is not counting. Pass. Don't know. I mean, the timer will count when the market ticks. So if the market's not ticking, it won't count. Yeah. So you see that's on 33. You can't see it because it's too small and it's behind my head probably. But that says 32.33. It hasn't changed. Now it's changed to 32.24 because we didn't have any ticks. So yeah, indicators work on tick. If the market doesn't tick, the indicator doesn't do anything. Apart from that, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one, unfortunately. Morning, John. Right, so yes, there's no H1 or H4 RSIs to look at all. So what I might do is have a quick whiz through all of the pairs, and we'll have a quick look at where everything is. The hedging account is up 6% on the month now because of what I banked this morning. Everything else is fine apart from, well, I say apart from, the pound Swiss and the pound yen. Those two are in 3%, which is coming down on the Swissy, obviously, at the moment. But the yen, obviously, and the yen, yeah, so everything's fine. Yeah, I'm going to get out of that pound yen long as well. I don't really want to be. That's going to take a slight loss, but I don't really want to be long against the yen, especially with what we've got coming up tomorrow. If Ueda comes out tomorrow morning and says we're going to change those interest rates, that thing's flying. So I do not want to be long on it. So yeah, hedging's not a lot else really to discuss on that one. It's just usual banking an absolute fortune. I put a video out on Thursday last week. For those that didn't, I don't know, you probably have seen, but 61.4% last month. So big month in February. Obviously, to draw down into March as we always do, because if you haven't got open positions, you can't make money. But yeah, a lot of that, most of that, well, half of that was H1 hedging again. So the hedging, super high return, this strategy. But obviously you are always sitting in a load of risks. So holiday fund is looking good at the moment. The wife will be pleased to hear. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But anyway, as I said, it's always a little bit, I'm always a little bit worried about that account because it goes into a lot of drawdown. And let me just see if this is finished. Yeah, it's finished. Good. Okay. Just grab the results. That was 2,880 tests. 2,880 and 2,703 passed. So this basically is a system parameter permutation test that I've just run on the new EA, which is the position trading EA. So it's done. I've just typed a completely stupid number in there, 2703. I typed 27038. So this is run a system parameter permutation test, basically, which is testing multiple system parameter permutation. I'm just trying to think of the best way, easiest way to say it. Testing multiple settings within the EA, yeah? So we are testing risk from 0.2% all the way up to 0.8%. We're testing lot multipliers from being flat, not using a multiplier, up to using 1.6 multiplier. We're using a different distance between trades, varying from half an ADR to 1 ADR. We're testing different targets between 0.25% to 1% on single and multiple trades. And we're testing, this one was doing an ADR test. So it's testing 80% of ADR up to 160% of ADR. So it runs a test for every single possible permutation of all of those settings. So there's 2,880 different combinations of settings there. What I'm looking for is, do they really matter? Is basically what the system parameter permutation test is saying. So if I was to do this, if I was to get in when ADR gets extended, and if I was to target any target level, if I was to use any scaling level, if I was to use any risk I fancied, would I make money? The answer is yes. In 2,700 cases out of 2,880 cases, you would have made money, regardless of what settings you use. So basically all it's doing is it's showing robustness. So the strategy is incredibly robust. It would bank somewhere between, depending on what settings you used, $61,000 to $4. Yeah. So at the end of the day, there's 2,700 settings on that EA out of 2,800 that make money. So it's going to be very hard not to be profitable. That's basically what system parameter permutation testing is telling you. Robustness, which is what we want. We want something robust, which is why I keep saying, you know, what's the best setting? Or people ask me, what's the best setting? Doesn't matter. Use any setting you like. Yeah, but which one's the best? The one that makes you the money. Which one is going to be the best in the future will be determined by the future price movement, which we cannot see. So therefore, I do a test which says, does it matter which one I use? Are they all going to make money? Yeah, brilliant. Pick one. Will you pick the one that makes 4, or will you pick the one that makes 68,000? What's the market going to do next year? I don't know. I can't tell you the answer to that. But it tells me that everything makes money, which is what I'm interested in, making money. I don't care. Well, I do care how much it is, obviously, but I don't have control over how much I make because that's what the market does. The market pays me. I don't. So you just got to run those tests basically to make sure. That's only testing one currency over 1 year, though. So the next stage is to run multiple system parameter permutation tests on all the other currencies and then pick a set file that looks good, somewhere in the 60 to 80% range, usually I pick, and then run that across all currencies and see what the overall profit curve is. That's it. And then I press the button, sit here, and as you know, I just basically make money all day, which is lovely. Anyway, so that's finished now. So hopefully my computer will cool down a little bit. This is the EA base. I'm running this. The new EA is running on testing at the moment, and it's running. I can't even remember what I'm running. I can't even remember what settings I'm running. Doesn't matter. This is the whole point, isn't it? I don't know what this is doing. It's just trading. But it's made 10% so far this month, which is pretty good considering it's the 4th of the month. So yeah, made 10% and sitting in 0.83% of drawdown. So all good. Release the Kraken, as Steve says. Yeah. Morning, Chucks. There will be much of difference between running the EA with raw account and standard account. I don't know. I would always go. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. One of them you pay commission. One of them you pay higher spread. If you're running on higher time frame strategies, like this is running ADR and going to have to answer the question because it's driving me nuts now. I don't even know what this is doing. This one. Right, so this is trading RSI extensions. So this is trading, I think it's trading 60-40 RSI extensions on the hourly, which would make sense because I've got it on the hourly chart. So it's basically shorting when we get extended above, and it's longing when we get extended below, yeah? So you can see, look, there's a trade, and there's one on at the moment. So it's just basically riding H1 RSI extensions, basically. So if you're trading hourly timeframes, which is what this is doing, if you don't pay a commission, the spread isn't going to affect you much. So if you've got a 3-pip spread or a 5-pip spread, when you're trading an hourly move, it doesn't really make a lot of difference. You've got to make another 2 pips before it will close a trade out. So I would go with a non-commission account, basically. But I mean, it doesn't make a lot of difference long run, to be honest. You're going to pay the money, a similar amount of money regardless, yeah? So if you're getting in with commission, right? So let's say, for example, I need this to move down to here to close the account, to close the trade out in profit, yeah? So if I'm using commission, it needs to get to there. So if I've got an account that charges commission, it needs to move to there. If I've got an account that doesn't charge commission, my entry will be further away, and my target will be here because I will need a little bit more movement because of the spread. But the amount of money I pay on the spread and the amount of money I pay in commission is going to be virtually the same. So it doesn't matter which type of account you choose. This is why people always ask me, what's the best one? Should I go with the Prime account, the Raw account, the ECN account? Doesn't matter. Just go with an account. They will get their money out of you one way or the other. So I wouldn't worry too much. With 61% profit, but drawdown is still running, when will be the time we can close the drawdown? When it gets into profit. Udi, you obviously haven't watched the bootcamp, have you? So what the easiest answer to that question is, what is this? Yeah, it's open trades. Yeah. What is this? Closed trades. What does that become? That. Yeah. So you're always going to have. I can never show you a video with my results without having drawdown, because if I haven't got drawdown, it means I've given up work, because this is work. Yeah. If I don't have positions on, I haven't got risk in the market. If I haven't got risk in the market, I can't make money. So if you want me to shut the positions out before I do a video about profit, I'll do that. But I won't make any money because I won't have any trades on. Then I'll have to wait for all the positions to start up again, and it will take forever. So drawdown is risk. Most people, you obviously haven't watched the bootcamp because you would have answered that question yourself if you had. But most people will take a trade, risk 1% on it, and go for a 2% target, and it will either stop them out with a loss or it will hit their target and make a profit. I get into the market and wait for it to come into profit, and then I close the position. I don't take losses, because what's the point in taking a loss? Sounds like a stupid question, but if you watch the bootcamp, you know what I mean. Do you think the yen will likely strengthen against the pound? Yen will strengthen against everything when they change that interest rate. So when that interest rate on the yen moves from negative 0.1 to 0, the yen will rally. We're just waiting for it to happen. Well, it should rally. I say it will rally. It should rally. That's what happens when everybody else increases their interest rates. But the yen is an absolute anomaly. The market is expecting it to rally, which is why they're not selling it at the moment dramatically. But I don't know. It's difficult to tell. A very difficult one to tell, the yen. It doesn't work the same as the mechanics of the yen are completely different to all other currencies. The Japanese do not encourage internal investment. They encourage overseas investment. They don't want you holding the yen. They want all the yen out. Yeah, because it's not as good as a currency as everybody else's. So they discourage you from keeping your currency in your country by giving you less percent return on your savings than everywhere else, i.e. negative. So if I put 100 million yen into my account and draw it out in a year's time, it won't be 100 million yen. It will be less than that because I'm losing money. No, it doesn't quite work that way, but that's the mechanics of it, yeah? They don't want you to put money into the yen. So when that goes back up to zero, it encourages people to put money into the yen. When it goes up further, it encourages even more. I mean, to be honest, what they should really be doing, what I would be doing if I was the Bank of Japan, but I'm not, and I don't know the economics quite well enough to actually say it, but if I put that to a 0.1% positive, the yen would fly. So if the Bank of Japan's real motivation is we want to power the yen up, then increasing that above zero would be great. And Ueda might say that this week, yeah? I mean, we've got, tomorrow morning we'll find out. 4 o'clock. We will find out what goes on. What kind of new EA is this you're talking about? Oh, this is the position trading EA. So this is the new one I'm building. For position trading, basically. I'm glad you're a computer geek. So am I. Because then I don't have to pay people to fix stuff. Like Friday. It's very simple, isn't it? Something goes wrong, turn it off, turn it on. Is it fixed? 99% of the time, yes. Okay. You've turned it on. Is it working? No. Okay. Uninstall, reinstall. Is it working? 99% of the time, it's fixed. Yeah. So that's all I had to do on Friday when the stream wasn't working, was reinstall Streamlabs. But it's not a 5-second job. So anyway. Any tips for a newbie? Currently on Bootcamp video 4. Watch Bootcamp. Watch Bootcamp, Gina, and then try not to run off and system hop. If you've followed everything that is in the position trading handbook in the order that I've said to watch it in, you should never hop. You should just do this. Because everything you look at, if you've watched the Position Trading Bootcamp and you've watched all the videos I've said to watch before you watch the Position Trading Bootcamp, when you get to the end of the bootcamp, anybody that advertises to you on YouTube or Facebook that ever says, do this, you will look at it and go, that's ridiculous. Because you now know how the market works and how to make money out of the market. And anybody that tells you to do it any other way, you'll understand. So any tips for a newbie? Do this. And in 3 months' time, you won't be a newbie anymore. Where are the set files for the H1 hedging strategy? And there was some in the Telegram group. They're in the Telegram group. That's something I was going to do. I was going to set up a new channel in Discord for set files. That's reminded me. I'll have to do that this morning. Right, let's have a quick run through Swiss francs weakening again by the looks of things. Let's have a quick run through of all the pairs and see where everything's going. That was no news on the Swissy. Right, so I'm just going to quickly run through any pair, all the pairs basically. And just have a quick look at where everything is. But as you can see from the Aussie dollar CAD, which is a prime example, we are just going up and down at the moment. So all the strategies that I trade, as you know, are based on mean reversion. So we are either looking for a multi-day relative strength move, which they will then undo, or we're looking for an intraday relative strength move, which they will undo. So which is why the dashboards are all flat at the moment a lot of the time, because the market isn't really doing an awful lot. It's just moving up and down pretty much all the time. So most of the stuff we're going to look at is obviously support resistance based. So as you can see, starting on the Aussie CAD, last month's high would be your upside for a short. We've also got the last week's high somewhere up there. So scaling into a position and out like that, or down towards last week's low, but not really a lot of movement at all on the Aussie CAD. So no extensions. Last trade I had was there, short, which worked beautifully. And then prior to that, it was that long there. So yeah, we're just waiting basically for stuff to stuff to move. But this one last week, absolutely no movement, Aussie CAD at all. So you can always tell the market's sideways when you get a reverse alert followed by a reverse alert and the market hasn't moved anywhere. Basically, all it's saying is saying the structure is sideways. So nothing particularly exciting to look at all. Morning, EA. Aussie dollar Swiss. So with all of these this morning, the Aussie dollar pairs, basically, as you can see, there is no Aussie dollar news this week. So any movement on the Australia, oh, sorry, no, there is. It's GDP on Wednesday morning, which probably won't do an awful lot because GDP is not really relevant at the moment until interest rates start to change. So I wouldn't worry too much about that one. But any movement that we see on the Australian dollar this week is going to be caused by the alternate currency. So the Aussie dollar CAD will move because the Canadian dollars moved, or the Swiss francs moved, or the yens moved, etc., etc. You drop out and went mono sound? No, I don't think so. Well, no one else has said. I have anyway, but I'm still here. I can't see anything on my system that says there's anything wrong, so doesn't mean there isn't. So Aussie dollar Swiss, so we had a big move down last week, and then obviously complete V-shaped recovery. So all we did last week was go from where we started and we finished where we started. So no movement. We had a lovely good 2-day intraday move and then back up again. So Swiss franc at the moment obviously is having a strong move, pushing down basically. If it continues, the structure at the moment, because obviously we've broken out of that last week's range, we've got the new high, low. We've just put a lower high in on Friday. Yeah, so market structure's bearish. So we're looking for a new lower low to be put in if we're going to continue bearish market structure, or at least come down and retest somewhere in this area and buy it back out of there. So at the moment, it's moving down because of the Swiss franc move. We'll see if that continues. That was obviously good news for the Swissy, 0.6 off a 0.5 forecast on the month-on-month CPI. So could get a couple of days move out of it, which would be fantastic. We've had a weak Swiss franc latter part of last week across the board as well. So there's a good chance, and actually the Swiss franc's been weak for a bit. So there's a good chance we might actually get some profit taking on those moves. So RSI extension, if you took the SIV, I always trade 75-25s on the RSI at the moment. If you took the 70-30, you would have got in there on Friday, and obviously you'd be in profit on it, or you would have got in somewhere up there. Good divergence, RSI's flat, price is moving up, and obviously the divergence has already played out. So that's Aussie Swiss. Aussie yen. So all the yen pairs basically driven by the US dollar as usual. So we'll look at, I'll whiz through all the yen pairs in one go actually. So yen, little bit of strength towards the back end of last week. As you can see, everything started to come back down. So we started to see that strength finally entering the yen. However, Friday and latter part of Thursday, it all undid itself. So the US dollar yen, we thought this is it on Thursday. We pulled back and it shorted and we were like, fantastic. You can see I got out of a load of my short positions there and did some drawdown control just in case that happened, and it did. So we are still sitting in the range on the US dollar yen. So everything yen based is all controlled by the US dollar yen. I've just realized I've got an aggressive drawdown control position. There's no point in taking a loss on that. It's going to break even that if it pushes any further today. And I'll try another one later on in the week. But we are stuck. This 150 level is the intervention level the Japanese keep talking about. When we get above that level, they start talking about intervention. At the moment, because they're talking about putting interest rates up, there's not really necessarily a need for intervention because the yen will automatically power up if that happens or when that happens. But we will find out this week. So tomorrow morning, when Ueda speaks, hopefully there'll be some information in there that will rally the yen. So the power tomorrow morning is there to either dump or pump this yen off the back of these CPI figures. So if the CPI figures come out as a positive, we'll get a good move on the yen, i.e. everything will come down against the yen. And then if Ueda comes out and says everything's looking good for an interest rate rise in hopefully March or April, the yen will power up and we'll see the yen 200, 300% lower than it is. Yeah, so look at 200, 300% ADR. Yeah, so you'll be looking at, we'll be down here at some point within 24, 48 hours potentially. But that's a big if. The yen, the Japanese are renowned for saying one thing, doing another. So we'll wait and see. So US dollar yen, if we do push up, however, above this level again, the intervention talk will start, which means that the market will immediately want to buy the yen anyway. So I'm just trying to time, which is obviously why it's not working for me, trying to time an entry, which you can't do. So I'm trying to get enough size on so that when Ueda does move it or the intervention does happen, I'm going to make a ton of cash, but I just can't time the entry at the moment. It's sideways and it's costing a fortune in swaps. So, but I've got an aggressive on at the minute, which is in profit. So if we can get today a new lower high in that doesn't take me out, i.e. the market not move up any higher than there and start to push down, I'll be out of this week. But all yen's exactly the same. Yeah, we had the strength from the yen, started to wane on Friday. Today's a new day, so we will see where we go from here. Pound yen, same thing, looking very similar to the US dollar yen. I'm out of that aggressive this morning on the pound yen. Euro yen, same thing. We're stuck in the middle of the weekly range at the moment. CAD sideways. Yeah, so we're just pulling back on these. The Swiss franc obviously is starting to rally off the back of the Swiss move. So we'll see what happens with those. But yeah, yens, I just don't. All the EAs on the VPS are all set up as short onlys. So apart from the hedging, which to be honest, I really should go through and make them all short only as well now. I might do that. But yeah, all the yen pairs. So I've got the market reversal alerts EA all set up as short onlys on the yens. I do not want to be buying anything against the yen at the moment. We're at too much of a dodgy spot, basically, on that one. So there's all your yens. Aussie New Zealand, we are sideways. I've got two shorts on that on the H1M5 account. We literally last week, we just put in a V-shaped recovery off the back of that previous move. So sideways, price discovery, sideways. We're up now back at this propulsion gap, which is the break of the low. So either they will add and we will drop from there, or they will not add and we will be looking to push up into the previous month's high. That's 2 months ago's high, actually, I think, isn't it? Oh, no. 2 month high, 1 month high. Yeah, so that's last month's high and then previous month's high. So we'll be looking basically, if we do push from here, I think we'll go through this propulsion gap because they've held it twice now. And again, on Friday, they held it. So it's either going to hold here and we're going to drop back down, in which case we'll be coming back down to my target, which is the propulsion gap fill, or we're going to push through that propulsion gap and up. What on earth did I do there? What did there? So it's holding at the moment off the highs today. So markets rallied up into those highs. Sellers have stepped in from Friday's high. We've just tried again. Sellers have stepped in again. So if we now break down through that low, we're going to be coming back down. And I think we'll probably hold this level on the Aussie New Zealand. But looking at news this week, obviously, there is no Aussie news apart from that GDP number, which will move it, but not substantially. And there's no New Zealand news. So don't think there's an awful lot of movement going to be happening on that one. Aussie US, we are sideways at the moment. As again, we're sideways on everything. But we came out of a lovely balance area, had the news, price discovery down into a new balance area, pushed back up into the previous balance. They added back into this sell. Now we push down again. Yeah, could go up to there, could come down to there. Either way, you're looking at 2 ADR of movement. That's literally it in what? A month and a half. 6 weeks, we've had 2 ADR of movement on the entire 6 weeks. Just not going anywhere. So if you do get a push which goes beyond ADR, short, below ADR, long, any RSI extensions, short, same thing. So there's a long there that I got into. There's a long down here that I got into. There's a long there that I got out of. Just, you know, nothing's moving. So just keep, as long as these interest rates are staying as they are, no one's got a bias long or short. Therefore, all the market's going to do is just sit in rotation and wait for the US dollar in June. Long time to sit waiting for something to happen, but that's where we are at the minute. So yeah, waiting for some kind of extension on this. You know, just anywhere, just move. Something just move. So those are your Aussies. There's no bias long on the Aussie, no bias short on the Aussie at the moment. So it's a case of, as with everybody, their interest rates are fairly high. They haven't changed them for ages. Their inflation is coming down very quick, but the Aussie and New Zealand are worse off than everybody at the moment. They've got the highest interest rates everywhere, and they've obviously got joint highest interest rates and inflation. So basically, they are not doing as well as everybody else. Dollar is easing. Dollar easing starting in November. I don't know what's happening in November. That's the end of the year. We're only in February. What on earth would you be looking at stuff that's going to happen in November? It's a long time for. I'm not going to sit here and wait and hopefully something will happen in November. The interest rates are going to be changing in June. If that's what you're referring to, interest rate change. CAD Swiss. Again, coming down at the moment against the Swiss franc. Swiss franc's rallying off the back of the news this morning for the CPI. But as you can see, going back to pretty much the beginning of February, yeah, we haven't gone anywhere. So we had that move start. So last week, we actually started to get some movement in the market, some decent movement. And it's all completely undone. So V-shaped recovery is all over the place, mainly because of the Swiss franc being very, very weak. But right now, it's the same story on everything. It's almost like I could show you this chart and say, rinse and repeat this on every single chart out there. Yeah. If it moves up towards the highs, sell it. If it moves down towards lows, buy it. And if it doesn't hold there, buy the next one. That will work. Yeah, because this is all we're doing. So waiting for some signals. There was on Friday a 70-30. If you're taking 70-30 RSI extensions, you'd have shorted that. But, so yeah, CAD Swiss doing very well at the moment, going absolutely nowhere, same as everybody else. CAD Yen we've covered, Swiss Yen we've covered. So that's, yeah, obviously CAD Swiss is the only CAD pair. Euros. So Euros this week, we've got the interest rates coming up on Thursday. So when you have an interest rate change coming, one of two things happens. Either the market has already factored in that move. So basically what the market does before an interest rate move is it speculatively moves into or out of the currency in anticipation for that announcement. Yeah. So if we were expecting interest rates to go up, we would be buying it for a couple of weeks before the interest rate announcement. And then when that interest rate announcement comes up, we would add into that position to confirm that we're correct. If the interest rates hadn't gone up, we would be the wrong side on the move and we would immediately get out of those moves. I'm talking banks at the moment, and profit take what we've made. Yeah. So this is why the market moves on news. It doesn't move on news for any other reason than the banks are either right or wrong when the news event comes out. That's it. That's how it works. So with the euro, as you can see, we started to have a little bit of a move into the euro kicking off last week. Not particularly strong, but everything did push. Pound was pushing at the same time as well, so you can't really see on that chart. But as you can see, with everything else, the euro has been rallying. So it would indicate that the market is basically bullish on the euro because they have come out and said that they're not going to change their interest rates in all likelihood until the US does. So all we're doing with every single currency at the moment is saying, when's the US changing rates? We don't care about the euro because we're waiting for the US to change rates. Then the euro will do the same as the US. So everything's been rallying. Therefore, they will either profit take the move this week or they will continue to rally that move as well. But in a week where you have an interest rate change, one of two things tends to happen. It either goes into rotation for a couple of days before the news, or there will be a fast, sharp move before the news, which will then typically profit take when the move comes out. It's the buy the rumor, sell the news scenario that you've probably heard people mentioning before. So that is on Thursday. So for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, obviously the euro is likely to have very little power because they won't want to put any large moves in ahead of it. However, the euro will move when the Australian GDP comes out, when the Bank of Japan starts talking, when the Canadian rate comes out, when the budget's released for the pound, when the unemployment for the US. So the pound is likely to have no power the euro is likely to have no power this week, but it will be moved around by the other currencies. So the cross is what's going to be in charge this week. So you might find that they all go off in weird, wonderful directions this week and not the same because there won't be a lot of money coming into it until Thursday. So we're waiting to see what happens. Lagarde will either come out and say, yeah, we're bullish, or no, we're bearish. But unlikely that we'll get an awful lot of movement prior to that. So we'll see what happens on that one. But I've got shorts on at the moment on most euros because we've had RSI extensions to the upside on the pushes. So therefore, I'm just waiting for them to profit take the move back down, as you can see, into that propulsion gap in this case. Euro CAD, this is the same stuff, isn't it? Sideways, price discovery, sideways, price discovery. See, a lot more volatility last week. You can see the volatility picked up quite a lot last week for a couple of days. That's it. So we're waiting to see if this is the market actually starting to move. Don't forget, with all of these moves that we're expecting every currency to reduce their interest rates in the next sort of 6 months. So the market is looking for any reason to get into a speculative move and try and get in first. Let's start selling the euro first. Let's start getting in on the US first. Want to get in at the top of that curve before it all starts to come down. Unfortunately, because everything's starting to come down, you can't sell all currencies, because if you're selling all currencies, it's all going to go sideways, isn't it? So it's very difficult to sort of read into anything at the moment when you see any kind of movement, whether or not it's going to hold or not. So it's just a case of waiting and following the signals, follow the strategy. As long as the banks are pushing in one direction, they will profit take that move. The RSI tells you when you're pushing, tells you when there's a potential for the move to go the opposite direction. Same with ADR. If they put a load of money in, it's unlikely it's all going to be speculative. What comes out is our ADR profit. So, it's just waiting. As you can see, no signals on this thing at all. Last entry I had was on the ADR and RSI extension there. So, stuck. Euro Swiss. This is a bit of an anomaly, the Euro Swiss, because when there is good positive news on the euro pumps. Because the Swissy is in with the euro, it pumps as well. And when there's bad news on the euro, it comes down. When there's bad news on the euro, the Swiss also comes down. So the only reason this really moves independently is with Swiss franc, because it's not big enough move to affect the whole of the eurozone on its own. So as you can see, we've had some decent movement on the Swiss franc this morning. If that continues, this will probably come down and possibly quite fast. But I'd be, anything that gets beyond ADR, I'd be thinking about taking the profit off. So I'm not looking for massive moves on it, but I would be much more short than long. If you look at this on a 4-hour time frame, you can see it's much more extended. Yeah, we haven't had a profit take move on this yet. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for them to unwind this leg. So this movement. Yeah. So looking for shorts. I'm short at the moment. 4-hour RSI extension last week as well on Friday. So if you were trading at H4 M15 or H4 M5, you would have had another entry there, but you would have been in it from all the way back here. It's just been grinding, isn't it, the Swissy? But it'll undo eventually. Just waiting for them to press a button, and hopefully, looking at this morning's move, this is it. So we've had the reversal alert. So we're looking for a retest somewhere in here. Then drop. Euro pound, dead. I've been in this since sometime in January. I think this is one of the first things. Yeah, this was the first trade I got into this year. There, on the 2nd of January, we were like, right, let's go. I've had, since we had that push down and no profit take move on it, as you can see, my targets are there. They have been there for over 6 weeks. We have gone absolutely nowhere, and we are just contracting into an even tighter range. So just nothing you can do. It's absolutely stuck. ADR on this is 24 pips. That is its average daily range at the moment, 24. I've never seen it that low in my entire life, I don't think. Euro pound, look at it, 24. It's just not moving. You might as well just turn it off. It doesn't exist. It's just not moving. So nothing you can do with it. Just dead. Forget it. It's almost like I just want to take it off the list and not trade it anymore. I'm so close to an average. I mean, if you look at my profit on it, I'm sitting in 1.26% of drawdown. If I get back, I've had a few times where I could have got out of this. I've banked loads of money on it. Don't get me wrong. It's been a profitable trade. Yeah. So you can see banked. I've done no drawdown control on it. It doesn't owe me anything. It's just made me money. But it's just taken 8 weeks of maybe 0.5% a week sort of profit. It's just not enough money. So, because it's not enough movement. So if we do get a push up, and this is the problem with position trading, if we do get a push up, I'll be going, oh, I'm going to take it off. But the other half of my brain is going, we've pushed up, we're going, this is it. But what tends to happen is you get there and you go, this is it. And then you sit there for a week and it goes, oh. Then it comes up and it sits there for another 2 weeks and goes, yeah, I really want it off when we get there. So if we can get an ADR, as you can see, I just want it to push one ADR, 20 pips. That's it. 20 little pips. And I'll be able to get out. It's just not going anywhere. So anyway, there's euro pound. Just don't bother trading it. Just take it off. Get rid of it. Euro yen covered. Euro New Zealand, again, sideways, as you can see. So the whole market is moving around news, nothing. Bit of news, nothing. Yeah, it's just grinding around the news. So at the moment I am short on the RSI extension off the back of the news. 2 entries on it. We've been flip-flopping now for 2 days. So yeah, just got a couple of shorts on at the moment off of the H1 RSI extension. We're up at nice resistance at the moment. So we've sold this level 3 times. We sold it twice last week. Yeah, so we know the sellers are sitting here. And there's resistance for going higher. So hopefully we just push back down again. How far we get into that propulsion gap, don't know. So if we get back down to the top of that propulsion gap, my target at the moment is sitting there at that resistance. If we get to the top of that propulsion gap, I might just close it. Just need to bank money when money's there at the moment because we're not getting any decent moves. So backup plan on this one, obviously, we've got the high from January, and then we'd be coming back up to this high, which is 175 ADR. So if it needs a scale in for a couple more positions up to there, so be it. And then the target will be back down here, but no movement. Euro US, again, nothing happening. News event, nothing happening. Bit of a grind, nothing happening. Yeah. So this is, if you're not on that and you don't get out on that, you don't get out. You just sit. So that propulsion gap is your only upside target. And that is from 15th of January. We tested once. They re-added to the position. We haven't got there yet. So it hasn't even got enough strength to do 2 ADR of movement. It's just not moving. Again, this week, we've got loads and loads and loads of news. I suspect we'll probably see something along those sorts of lines. Again, that's it. So we have a news event. The market goes, way, and then we sit there and do nothing for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then they come back and undo the move. Get in, take the profit. That's all they're doing. Get in, take the profit. Why are you not moving anywhere? Why should we? There's no, Lagarde hasn't said when she's doing her interest rates. The Fed haven't said when they're doing their interest rates. There's no reason for me to do this or that. So what we'll do is when there's news, we'll take all your money and we'll sit there sideways and do nothing. That's what the market's doing. We are waiting for interest rates. So again, yeah, but right now, nothing. So last entry long was down there. We had a short entry there. I didn't quite get onto this one. So this was a news event short. Couldn't get in. So there was an RSI extension there, which would have played out nicely, but the reversal alert didn't happen until somewhere down here. So there was just there wasn't an entry on it. But that's it, as you can see. A-shaped recovery, profit take move. No movement. Pounds. Let me just catch up on the chat. I'll have a drink. Swiss did squeeze every currency last year. Could be a shift in tendency this year. A Swiss franc squeezes when there is an interest, when there is a safe haven run. It's a safe haven currency. So the money moves into the Swissy when there's a problem. Yeah. And that's what tends to cause the squeezes. How much in swaps? Don't know. Speak to your broker. All brokers charge different swap fees. We didn't close the till in profit. That's not good, Franco. My smart money concept ICT friends yell blasphemy when I say that. They will do, because they're not smart. They're not following a concept that works. And ICT's a fraud that other people have said in their videos. I don't know. Don't follow him. Anyway. Yeah, they will yell blasphemy at you because it's the best thing since sliced bread, smart money concepts. Especially that bank algorithm that doesn't exist. That's really good. Definitely follow that, everybody. Pound. Very much the same as everything else. So we're just coming up to the highs from last month. So we've got a nice resistance if we get there. The previous propulsion move, again, off the news, is undone. We've got propulsion targets to the downside. So I would be aiming for shorts at the moment on this. But obviously, Australia, we have a little bit of news in the GDP coming up, which isn't really going to do an awful lot. The pound, we're waiting for the next interest rate change. So we have got pound news this week. So we've got the budget coming up. The budget is a very weird one because the budget doesn't affect monetary policy. It is in itself, though, a kind of monetary policy. So all the budget is basically laying out how the government are going to spend money and how they're going to affect us with taxes and all that sort of stuff. So it doesn't really affect, especially at the moment, anything to do with interest rates. It will affect inflation and it affects our pocket, but the effects of what is done here won't be seen for many, many months into the future. So we quite often get a fast move off of the budget, but it tends to be because the Chancellor has said something rather than something that has been released. Yeah, quite often we know roughly what's coming in the budget, like we're going to get a 1 or 2% drop in national insurance payments and that sort of stuff. But it's more a case of somebody's asked a question and he's answered it in a way the market's gone, really? And that's when you get a move. So we'll see what happens. But that's the only thing we got coming up really for the pound this week, apart from the PMIs, which won't really do an awful lot. So with all the pound pairs this week, you can kind of sit, again, very much like the euro, sit sideways and wait for the other currency to move it. So as you can see, since 16th of January, we're sideways, yeah, in a range. So sell and buy. It's not moving in any direction. Pound CAD, very much the same. We're in a very wide, extended range. We've been pushing for the last couple of weeks on the weakness of the Canadian dollar. Beautiful monthly double top. Back down into propulsion. But again, as you can see, you know, there's very few opportunities to get in. Had a short there, perfect. Had a short there, perfect. Had a long there, took a couple of entries and 2 weeks to play out. But that's it. Just waiting for the market to get itself a little bit overstretched and then they'll profit take those moves. So directional bias, you can't pick because there is no directional bias. There's no advantage to the pound or the CAD at the moment. The CAD will weaken first in all likelihood because the CAD will follow the US. But yeah, no idea. So shorts at the moment because we're up at a double top. Pound Swiss, again, been very weak. The Swiss franc, which has given it an opportunity to strengthen the pound against the Swissy. So had a short play that started off here. It's been literally doing nothing but shorting this. So out of all my shorts, new short entered on Friday. So we had an RSI extension just on Friday, which got into a trade. We've had an hourly reverse alert and a retest. So there's your M pattern starting to go in. But so far today, no movement apart from the Swiss franc news. So I need to set a target on this one. I'll just go with a low. So 150 ADR to the downside. So see if we can get back down and retest this propulsion gap down there. But yeah, so that's a short in the minute. You've got some resistance. I'll go out to 4 hours of resistance. You've got some resistance coming up here, which is roughly about 350 ADR from where we are at the moment, but that's about it. So it's holding here as well. This whole area, after we push down, we've sold that area 3 times. This is our first retest of that area, so it could be that we push it back down from here. This is either doing something like that, or we're going to continue north. But again, there's absolutely no real reason for this to move. We're talking about the Swiss and the squeezes, yeah? The Swiss franc is a very squeezy currency. So the 2 biggest squeezy currencies are the Swiss franc and the yen, because they are safe haven currencies. When we have problems in the world, whether they be financial, wars, famines, pandemics, anything that happens, basically, when there is uncertainty, pension funds and banks liquidate risky assets, house building, stocks and shares, all that sort of stuff. So that all gets liquidated and put into things which are safe and stable, Swiss franc and yen, typically, because interest rates don't change on them. Yeah. So very, very rare. The Swiss is an incredibly stable economy, incredibly wealthy economy. If you want to put your money somewhere safe, you stick it all in the Swissy. The yen typically has had negative interest rates, so it doesn't tend to get affected too much by other fundamental events, which is why the yen tends to get a lot of money put into it as well. Although it's not the best place to put it, it's usually pretty safe. So those 2 squeeze a lot. So they will get continued strength or continued weakness. So if you look at, you'll see on every now and again, the financial juice, you get this thing come through every day, actually, which is this, the Fear and Greed Index, yeah? So when we are in extreme greed, we tend to sell our Swiss franc and our yens. Look at what's happened with the Swiss franc and the yen over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, we put our money into high risk investment, typically stocks and bonds and things like that. Yeah, when we are really scared about stuff, extreme fear, we buy the Swissy and we buy the yen. Yeah, so everything comes down against the Swiss franc, comes down against the yen. These conditions can last for weeks and months, which is why you see continued squeezes in those currencies. Yeah, so at the moment we're coming off the back of the Swissy not being particularly strong, but when that changes, it will change very quick, and this will just literally, you'll have ADR after ADR after ADR. They'll undo 50% of this move in a week, which is why I keep saying all the time, market climbs up the stairs and then it falls down the elevator shaft because something changes and the market perception and direction shifts. So why we call it a market shift. So there we go. So that's pound Swiss. Pound yen we've covered. Pound New Zealand. So the pound again been quite strong against New Zealand. We have some negative news on the New Zealand dollar there. New Zealand's been hammered a little bit. So double topped. We've got lovely resistance coming up. So if you short this, which is probably the preferable thing to do at the moment, scale into a position up to the previous month's high. So that's last month's high. That's the high from January. So you've got 2 good, strong monthly resistance areas where you'll find limit orders triggering coming up. But right now, for the last week, not really doing an awful lot. So no movement really on that one either. And the pound US dollar, very much the same as the euro US dollar. Dead as a door now. So same, sell it up here, buy it down here. If you get there, if you don't get there, flip a coin. Yeah. I keep saying, it doesn't matter how you get into the market, it's how you manage the trade, which is the most important thing. So flip a coin right now. If it comes out heads, go long. If it comes out tails, go short. Yeah. If the market moves up and you've gone short, scale in and wait for it to come down again. If the market goes down and you've gone long, scale in, wait for it to go up again. Yeah, because that's what it's going to do, up and down. Right now, bang in the middle of a range. Your guess is as good as mine. New Zealand this week. We got the Aussie dollar GDP coming out, which is going to affect the New Zealand dollar potentially. So if we do get a move off the Aussie GDP, the New Zealand will tend to get pulled along with it, and vice versa. So when there's New Zealand news, the Aussie get pulled along with it. Very close trade partners, and they affect each other. Commodity pairs, basically. So, yeah, sideways, middle. Take your pick. So we had this big news on the New Zealand dollar last week, which obviously dropped the New Zealand dollar, which was the rate. So the market had a negative reaction to interest rates, which there is absolutely no reason why it should drop that hard off of an expected result. So there was, well, I'll tell you the reason why it dropped. There was talk last month, in January rather, about potentially New Zealand increasing their interest rates one more time to get on top of it. So if you look at their position fundamentally at the moment, the New Zealand dollar, they're sitting up at 5.5. They're up at 4.7. It is coming down very nicely, but it's the highest inflation worldwide at the moment, of the developed nations anyway. And the interest rates are the highest along with the US. So there was talk about possibly we could squeeze another quarter out just to get that to accelerate. Never happened. And it was a kind of a little bit of a throwaway comment, I think, by the Bank of New Zealand. But they decided to move the market a little bit on it. And I think that is just them going, oh, they didn't do it. As you can see, since that, we haven't gone anywhere at all. So I think there's potential for them to pull this back up into there. If not, it's just going to grind down and come back up at a later stage. So you can't really pick a directional bias on this at all at the moment. This one's done it. Yeah. So I always say, remember, I always say when you're looking at these big propulsion gaps, I always target 50% of them, because quite often, if this is a short move and the banks are going to add into the short move, they won't let the move unwind completely. They will add to the position before it gets back to their kind of break even, if you like, or where they started to entering the move from. So somewhere around there is obviously usually a good point to target. There's one I've got on at the moment. I can't remember what it was. It's one of the Aussies. I think I'm targeting 50%. I saw one fly by. Maybe it was a euro. Maybe it was another account. I don't know. I can't remember. But there was one I was targeting. There you go. You're in New Zealand, yeah. So targeting roughly half the propulsion move. Falls in line a lot of the time with that as well, with some kind of previous resistance or support. So so all the New Zealanders sideways at the minute. Again, no strength or weakness on anything. So just using RSI movement, relative strength movement to get out. There you go. This one as well. Look, I'm targeting just below. Yeah, so don't go for the whole move to be undone. If this is a legitimate move and this moves up into there, let's say, for example, today on the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, I get an ADR alert. I'll be getting out. I won't let it go to target necessarily. If it gets to target while I'm not at my desk or something, brilliant. But if I get an alert and I look at it and I'll go, right, well, just in case. Always think worst case scenario. If you're an optimist in this game, you'll fail. Because if you're hoping for something to get somewhere, usually hope will get squashed. If something is in profit and you can put it in the bank and spend it, take it. Don't go for, I got the pleasure of hitting my TP. I'm going to post this because it was the best trade ever. Look, it turned exactly where I said it was going to turn. I got out to the pip. 90% of the time, that's not going to happen, is it? Just take the money and run. So if it gets up to somewhere around there and I see an ADR hit and I see a bearish candle come in, I'm off. So, but if we get up to there and all of a sudden there's some news on the US and it spikes, fantastic. But as you can see, sideways, bit of news, undid the news. So that entire period there, we went nowhere. So that was from the 12th of January up until the 15th of February, 1 month, absolutely sideways. Bit of news, nothing. Bit of news, nothing. Waiting for the next bit of news, one way or the other. So I'd be looking at these lows, 150 ADR to the downside, 175 ADR to the upside is a fill of the gap. And then obviously you'd be looking at seeing if we retest this previous level that we tested up there. But nothing. In the US dollar, obviously, there's no point in analyzing anything on this. We've got tons and tons of news coming out on the US dollar this week. So starting off tomorrow with the services PMIs, then we've got the Canadian, which will affect the US. Then we've got Powell talking, we've got JOLTS, and then we're going into unemployment claims. We've got Powell speaking again, and then we've got unemployment rate on Friday. So tomorrow afternoon, basically, the US dollar is potentially going to start its weekly movement, and it will go wherever the hell it wants to. We will see. At the moment, I've got a short on US dollar CAD, but as you can see, yeah, a week of movement, a week of movement, a week of movement, a week of movement, week of movement, a week of movement. Yeah, this is roughly 200 ADR. So, we move up a couple of hundred ADR, we move down a couple of hundred ADR, we move up a couple of hundred ADR. That's all you're getting. 200% of ADR, pretty much. Bit more than that. So it doesn't matter which way you get in, just wait. I'm short at the moment. I haven't got a target on that one either. Targeting propulsion. So if this market structure is going to hold, yeah, I'm not going to put in a new low. There's a good chance we might find a bounce off of that support. We've already done it twice. It's already done it twice. So if it does break that level next, it's going to find the new support down here. So, yeah, US dollar CAD sideways, US dollar Swiss, very, very, very sideways. Weakness in the US dollar and weakness in the Swiss franc together equals no movement. Swissies moved obviously this morning a little bit. So, as I said, I've taken a bit of profit off on the other pairs, but on the other accounts rather. Propulsion gap fill, they've added back into this move, look. Out of this nice area of balance. So we're going to find the next batch of sellers sitting up there somewhere potentially. If we get there, very, very hard, it's literally extensions. Coming up and retesting these levels. When we retest these levels, we find out whether or not the buyers or the sellers are still there. If they are, it moves. If they're not, it goes off to the next one. So it's very easy to scale into stuff at the moment. The stuff that is struggling at the moment, which is the stuff that's been grinding. But we haven't had a lot of grind on most things because there is no real reason to, is there? So, and US dollar yen, our friend, we're waiting to see if we get any more yen strength coming through. So this one this week. So the potential for the yen this week is twofold. It's going to be a busy week for all yen pairs this week. And this is obviously our main barometer because this is the one that the Japanese are paying attention to because their exports mainly are to the US. So tomorrow morning, and this evening, we've got the CPI numbers and we've got UEDA speaking. That's either going to go like that or like that. But if it doesn't do anything, we're going to be waiting for the US to move the market. So as of tomorrow afternoon, every single day, we've got US dollar news. So if that US dollar news is positive, it's going to push. If it pushes, the Japanese are going to intervene. If it doesn't push, the Japanese are going to do nothing. Happy days. Everybody's happy. If we just get a load of movement like this, the same as we've had for the last few weeks, that's all that's going to happen. Yeah, we can't control everything, but the thing to be aware of is if there's positive US news, that's going to make the Japanese want to press that button, that nuke button. And if they do, we're looking at 600 to 800% ADR moves down on everything against the Japanese yen. So we're up at the level where really the Japanese can't sustain any more moves. So if there is positive news on the US and it takes us above that level, we're going to get an intervention. So it's going to be quite a key week this week, I think, with the yen, because we've got enough movement this week and enough news to really make this thing actually start to go somewhere. But we'll see. We may get nothing. You know, we've had lots of news events, haven't we, recently, where the market just doesn't bat an eyelid. So it's incredibly difficult to predict anything in anything. It's always, you can't predict the future, obviously, but you kind of get an idea what might come. And at the moment, it's just hard to predict anything, isn't it? So, which is the beauty of position trading. We don't need to predict the future. We just wait for them to move the market, and we get off when they get off. We get on when they get on. Yeah, that's literally it. That's all we're doing. We're just going the other way to everybody else, which is why we make money. Euro Swiss. Small profit. Let's take on that. I don't know if I want to hold that or not. Not a lot of money, is it? But I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt that we are going to get some movement on the Swissy. We'll see. So on the accounts, basically 9% of drawdown H1M5, 6% of that. So 2/3 of the drawdown that I've got on at the moment are basically yen, US dollar yen, pound yen. There's no point talking about what bank this month because it's just started. 14%, that's all Swiss franc related on ADR reversals. So the Swissy's the one that's fallen foul of ADR last month. 3% banked this month so far, which is good. Hedging, obviously, bank 6%. That's just up and down all the time, making money. And this little account with the new EA is banked 10% so far this month. And I don't even know what it's doing. It's just trading, which is great. Just goes to show you, doesn't it, right? How I've said it in a million times. Strategy's got nothing to do with making money in trading. Yeah. You have to have a strategy because you have to follow a set of rules that you know has an edge. But the actual strategy itself is not as important as basically just banking money. That's your job. Yeah, this is just running a set file. I couldn't even remember what it was doing, but it's running RSI. And all it's doing is just literally taking money out of the market when the market moves. It's not a very difficult strategy, is it? If the market moves up a little bit, go the opposite direction to the direction it's just gone, and then wait for it to come down and then bank a little bit of that cash. Nothing clever. It's just banking money when the market moves. That's what people don't do. They set themselves a entry criteria, a stop loss, and a profit. I'm either going to lose or I'm going to win. No, what you should be doing is when it goes into your favor, taking that money, and don't follow it because it's got to get there or it's got to get there. There is nothing else I'm going to do. That's what everybody else is doing. Morning, Ismet. Udi. You're just saying hi to Ismet. Fine. Chat amongst yourselves. 72 people in here. No idea how many likes there are, but it's probably not enough. Hit the button, people. Get some thumbs going. So, how many have we got? 72, and we've got 43 likes. Happy with that. Good job, everybody. Good job on the thumbs. So there's nothing else to look at today, really. I will be coming back on this afternoon at 2 o'clock. No, I won't. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. 2 o'clock. So just going to trade the New York Open this afternoon at 3:30, 2:30, and just have a look at what's happened this morning, really. But I'm not going to do a full analysis today because obviously we've talked about everything this morning. So it's a case of if anybody wants to look at it this afternoon, go and watch the replay. So I'll be doing some more testing this morning on the new EA and getting the manual written, which is taking forever. But yeah, basically just waiting, I think, for the news this week. I don't suspect there's a lot of movement today because, unless it's the Swissy, but because, you know, the market's not going to want to put any big orders in until we get through to the first news events coming out this week. So there's a lot of news. Let's just quickly have a look at the indices. Not a lot. So we've broken short. There's your pre-market levels on the FTSE. So we've pushed down to 2R literally on the FTSE. We haven't even got 1 hour of movement on the opening range on the DAX. It's literally not moved anywhere today. So nothing you can do with the indices this morning. unfortunately. It's just a case of waiting. Yeah. Good morning. Do you offer one-to-one mentorship? No. I can do if you want. How much you want to pay me? Let me know. Contact me in Discord or Telegram. Tell me what you want to pay me. If it has 4 zeros, yes. If not, no. Joking. No, I don't. I'm thinking of doing it, though. Not to one-to-one, though. I would never do one-to-one. How can I do one-to-one? Yeah, it's just impossible. You can't do one-to-one mentorship. Nobody's going to give you one-to-one mentorship without you paying them a load of money. Yeah, if I want to give up all my time to you, yeah, you're going to have to pay my mortgage for me because I won't be doing this. Doesn't work. Anybody offering you one-to-one mentorship, small group mentorship, I've been through and it's fantastic. 5, 10 people, that type of thing, that works. Because you all spend a lot of time in each other's pockets, watching each other's trades, chucking out stuff, basically, and that works really, really well. But one-to-one doesn't work. Well, I don't know. I've never done it, but I don't see how it can work financially for the person offering it, really, because you'd have to pay them like a lot of cash. There's a lot of information out there. My website has got more information than you will ever need. If you watch all the videos on my website, yeah, you don't need one-to-one mentorship. Yeah, come in the live rooms and ask me questions. It's as close as you're going to get. If you've watched all of this and you don't get it, can't help. No one can. Really, can they? That's the other thing. If you did one-to-one mentorship with somebody and they were really stupid and you just looked, so you'd have that two-edged sword, wouldn't you? You'd be like, you're paying me a lot of money for me to mentor you, but you're really bad and I can't see you ever making it in this. Do I keep taking your money or do I tell you to go and work in McDonald's? You can't see it working, can you? I don't see how the format works. Whereas if you get 10 people together in a room and there's 8 people that have got a brain and 2 people that haven't, if they're only paying like a little bit of money, this doesn't really matter, does it? Everybody gets the same information, same service, same sort of thing. And that works so well. I've done it twice. I've had 3 mentors in my life. And I say mentors, these people, one of them sold courses, still does. One of them didn't and has never charged for education ever. And the other one was kind of a friend who I kind of got involved with, who was a friend I met through another trading group. Who started doing it because he got it and he still is doing very well. Just trades the S&P 500 on the 1-minute chart. I can't do it, but he's doing very, very well. But all very different, but no one-on-one stuff. Doesn't work like that, does it? I don't think anyway, but if somebody came around and said, I'll give you 10,000 a month and I just want you to stop doing everything you're doing and spend your entire life with me, I'd do it. Why not? I wouldn't have to do this anymore, would I? But I'm not worth it. Right, I'll leave it there. Anything you need, let me know. I'll be in Telegram and Discord. Be back this afternoon at 2 o'clock and we will see how we get on with the US indices this afternoon and we'll see if these things have moved anywhere. Anything you see in profit, bank it. Other than that, I think we'll probably find you'll be in rotation for the rest of the day. So we'll be back where we are this morning, probably when I come on this afternoon. We'll see. All right, have a good one. Anything you need, let me know. Other than that, I will see you in the next stream. Have a good day.